So, dear brother, do you have one love word for the earth?
Well, I think that being aware of the earth is already an act of love. To see in myself the earth, the water, the air, the fire from within Mother Earth. So that when I'm in the forest with the tree, I see we are brothers. When I take a step on the earth, I feel like I'm touching something deep within myself. Within my ancestors, the ones that first took steps upright on the earth. So that awareness of walking on the earth, of being made of the earth, is an act of love. Yeah, and I think that that awareness is not just human, it's also animal, this mineral awareness. And we can get in touch with that in our own mind. Because the mineral is in us, the animal is in us, the plant is in us. So I see that loving Mother Earth is a deepening of that awareness of Mother Earth. Is taking time to stop and breathe. Just be fully present, not have any thinking, just open awareness of what's happening. The wind passing by my face, the solidity of the earth beneath my feet. Even the warmth from the digestion of the plants I've eaten. These are all helping me to go deeper into what's happening right here and right now. And I feel that is what we are offered in life. The possibility of being fully aware of what's happening here and now. In Mother Earth. I'm made of Mother Earth and I'm in Mother Earth. I'm on Mother Earth. Yeah.
And if you have to pin it down to one word, what word would you choose?
I think awakening. Waking up to what is already there. that is, the Buddha touched the earth when he had this awakening experience, and he said, "The earth is my witness." So I see that as talking to the earth within himself. He saw there's no longer, or there never was ever any separation. So it's this, so Mother Earth witnessing is an act of connection. It's not necessarily an act of justifying, but it's it's merely recognizing a connection that is already there. It has never not been there. But I think that without being there aware in the present moment, we become like an alien. We alienate ourselves from Mother Earth. And that is being asleep on Mother Earth, asleep to what is within us and around us. And nobody can tell us what it is to be awake. It's only something we can realize ourselves. So that is our practice. That is what Mother Earth invites us to do, is to wake up to this present moment, here and now, on the earth. To see all the wonderful conditions we have to be happy, joyful, free. And that is there, that is offered to us, and it's only for us to make good use of that offer. So I'd say awakening is the word that describes the best kind of love for Mother Earth we can experience.
And the step to the next question might seem to be big, but I think it's very short. What is the root cause of climate change?
Well, change is something that is happening all the time. So what is interesting is how things change. Because the way that I think, the way that I speak, the way that I act is affecting that change. And I want people to be happy, to be free, not to suffer. So I learn ways to think and to speak and to act that create more happiness and less suffering. And I think whenever, as human beings, we fall prey to desire, to want more things, then there is an effect to that desire, that kind of craving. And especially in these past 100 or 150 years, we've deeply wanted to solve problems of malnutrition, of lack of sanitation, poverty. And so we've done it as best we could. Our desire to eradicate these problems in humanity have brought about industrialization, the use of ancient sunlight as fuel with petroleum and coal. And that has had an effect, because all things have an effect. So out of this desire to do good, which had within it the seed of discontentment, not being happy with what is here right now, we've brought this ancient sunlight up back into the light, and so all this carbon dioxide that has been held in the earth, in the crust of the earth for millions of years, is now coming back out into the atmosphere. So we know that when Earth first formed on life, as far as we can tell, there was much less oxygen in the atmosphere much more carbon dioxide. So there's something ironic in that now, with so much life on the earth, we are actually reversing the process. I think it's that we need to learn how to be happy with what we have, with how things are right now, and look deeply into this collective craving for more. That is requiring such an input of energy. That is requiring us to burn fuels to release this energy of ancient sunlight. That is where we need deep looking. And many people, we are all doing this deep looking now. We are finding ways to use the sunlight in the here and the now to provide what we need. But I think it needs to go deeper into looking into what we really need. Because when we get in touch with what we really need, then we see we already have it.
And what is what we need?
We need to be happy and free. We need to be happy and free. We need to, because when I am happy and free, and my brother is happy and free, then there's no conflict. There's no problem. There's enough. There's already enough. I think if we look into the food that we have on earth, if we look into ways of moving around, that we can live on this paradise happy and free, still being able to go where we like, still having enough to eat, and not cause this suffering. So we have to look into our fear and become friends with our fear. So we have fear to deal with an animal that wants to eat us. But when this fear takes over and we feel fear in every moment based on things we cannot see or hear or touch, then that fear has taken over. When that fear takes over and is based on things we cannot see, hear, or touch, it is like a kind of monster we've created in our mind. So our imagination is something that has evolved in Homo sapiens and other animals. And for us, it is something that has helped us to imagine tools that we can use so that we can have a good dinner to eat. But we cannot say that evolution has only been positive. It has also brought a lot of suffering, a lot of worry and fear, out of control. When our cousins, our brothers and sisters, animals, don't see another animal that wants to eat them nearby, then there's no fear. But we have, with our imagination, we condition ourselves to experience fear day in and day out. And so we need to control, because we are like a cornered animal in every waking moment. But we cannot see the animal that is cornering us. It is only imagined. And that is That is what we need to wake up to. We need to wake up to this reality that we have evolved this brain that is capable of the most amazing flights of fancy and wonder, but also we need to understand this mind and how it generates fear and anger, despair and craving for things that we don't need to be happy and free. And then we don't need to control anymore. Or our control is more based just on where we put our attention. Most of our suffering comes from how we are nourishing our body and mind. And that is something we can change in every moment by where we put our attention. Our attention does not go always in every direction. In every moment we have the possibility to control where we put our attention. And that becomes the source of nutriment for us, for our thinking, for our way of seeing the world. So if we put our attention into a tree, we get in touch with the nature of the tree, standing there patiently, year after year, growing with the sunlight and the earth and the air, then that becomes what nourishes our thinking. But if we put our attention on images of despair, violence, betrayal, then we water those seeds as well in our consciousness. It is not that it is wrong, but it is what we water. It's what we nourish ourselves with. And we tend to become what we attend to. So if we attend to situations of despair in a movie, a film, well, we become more despairing. We have to know what is enough to nourish our understanding of a situation that is difficult, and what is only just strengthening the seed of despair and fear and worry. That is understanding our mind. So when the situations of injustice that are really happening in the world, we can give our attention to that, to more deeply understand the suffering in ourselves and in Mother Earth. But when we only make stories that water the seeds of despair and fear, we make up stories. We spend our time listening to made-up stories, watching made-up stories on films and movies. And when those stories water those seeds of fear, despair, and sadness in us, well, that is what we will become. So we have to know and accept that. It's not right or wrong, but we have to know that that is what happens. What we attend to is a mirror of what we become. So if we want to know our future, we can look into what we are paying attention to. That becomes our future. And so that is a wisdom that is available in the present moment. I think when we can just stop wherever we are, take a moment to walk in a forest, or just, if we don't have a forest, just find a tree and just be with that tree. Try to understand it as a brother or sister. Have a conversation with the tree. We don't need language, human language, to have a conversation with the tree. Because that tree has a story to tell. If we look into its bark, its leaves, its branches, its roots, it has a wonderful story to tell of cyanobacteria floating in the ocean, coming together as algae and kelp, and then finding a way to bring that water up from the earth into its leaves, and the leaves transporting the sugars from photosynthesis down throughout the body of the plant. That is all in this, in the body of the tree. That story is written in its very body. That is the kind of conversation we can have with the tree. And that nourishes us. It helps us to understand our own ancestry, our relationships to that tree. How we learn to be nourished by plants, our ancestors, taking their first steps on land. And we see this more deeply, our relationship with the tree. And that kind of understanding nourishes joy and freedom and understanding. So I think we need to be more aware of where we put our attention, so that we can nourish this kind of understanding in our heart.
And that's what you invite people to do when they come to a retreat, like the wake up retreat.
Right. Yeah, you put down your mobile phone, you put down your computer, so you get a kind of deeper connection. It doesn't mean that we can't be more connected. The mobile phone is also made of Mother Earth, and so is a computer. Yeah. But when we are only finding images and sounds that are reinforcing this imagination that causes us to imagine fears and despair, anger, then I think we are a little bit losing our connection with what is happening here and now. Right here with Mother Earth. And I like to feel connected with Mother Earth. I like to feel connected right here and now with what's happening on the planet. So I can practice to put it away in a retreat and look deeply into the eyes of my brother or sister who's on the retreat with me, and see in them the interstellar compost that makes them up. All those elements from supernova. All those elements from a supernova that have coalesced into their body, coalesced as Mother Earth, coalesced as these billions of years of evolution on the planet, and that has brought them here. That is a wonder, to see that in each other. We see our ancestral heritage, and so in a retreat we have time to do that, and we have ways of training ourselves so that we can do that more easily, so it comes quite naturally and consciously.
Which are the ways? What is mindfulness doing or helping?
Yeah, so when we learn how to take a step on Mother Earth with mindfulness, we're fully there with Mother Earth and our body and our breathing. And so our light of mindfulness within becomes stronger. We make the intention to be aware of our breath in our body, and we follow through with it all the way, so that mindfulness becomes stronger. We're able to maintain it over a period of time, so our concentration becomes stronger, and we get insight into the situation. We look deeply into these causes and conditions that are here and now, and we understand better the past that brought them about, as well as how they may manifest in the future. So looking deeply into the present moment, we better understand our situation. We better understand the past. We better understand the future. So cultivating it just by walking mindfully on Mother Earth is one way to do that. Our mindfulness becomes stronger, our concentration maintains that mindfulness, and we get insight. So the practice of mindful walking, mindful breathing, relaxing the body, it helps us come back to a very relaxed and open place where we can see what is actually going on. We don't try to impose on ourselves what is going on. We're not trying to deny what is going on. We fully open ourselves up to what is happening within. We don't have a need to control. And then we can help to guide things in a way that they bring more happiness and freedom. Yeah. But it is a gentle guiding, not a seizing and controlling. It is like a stream, we just help to guide it. When it gets stuck behind some driftwood and stones, we can just gently open that up so that the water can continue to flow downstream. And that is a way we can help ourselves to be more free.
A lot of young men and women coming here after 1, 2, 3 days, they touch some suffering inside.
Mm-hmm.
How that miracle happens?
I think it's this strengthened awareness. They feel supported also by a collective energy of mindfulness. So they don't. So they get the courage they need to not just follow their conditioned fear all the time of running away from their suffering. They are supported by the brothers and sisters at their side who are capable of stopping the running and looking deeply into their suffering. So when you're surrounded by people who are running all the time, running away from their suffering, then that is what you do as well. If that is how their minds are going, running all the time towards some future where there is happiness, where there is the money they need, the security they need, the position they need in order to be happy, then that is what you do as well. So when you come to a place where there are people who are not running, they're practicing to stop, to come back to themselves, to let go of their thinking, and to shine the light of mindfulness on what is happening in their body, in their breathing, in their mind, right in the present moment, then you also learn how to do that. You feel supported to do that. And your mind becomes more free. You get to see actually what is the source, the root of this suffering that's causing you to run all the time. So the collective practice helps. It helps support our individual practice. And then we get a deep insight. There's an energy we can touch when there's a collective group of people practicing mindfulness. And we can let that energy come in and support us so that we don't just run in fear. So we don't feel the need to control. We just observe with more clarity. And when you get that insight, then it becomes much easier to practice. You see the urgency of practicing. To wake up. You want to wake up because you see that that is what makes you happy and free.
Do you have, so there's no despair in you? regarding the earth?
I know there is despair in me when I think of Mother Earth. I know there's despair when I think of how we have treated, how we are treating Mother Earth. And that despair is there because I know that how I treat Mother Earth is how I treat myself, because we are not separate. But as I go deeper and I look into that despair, I see that that despair brings about fear. It makes me agitated. I try to run away. And in that running away, I do things that are not very skillful towards Mother Earth. That despair can drive me towards more consumption. My despair about the situation of climate change can drive me to do things that actually make it worse. And that is something I observe in my own life, in many areas. Yeah. So that is why I learn to transform that despair. It doesn't mean that I'm not aware of what's happening. In fact, I become more aware and more capable of actually helping when I'm joyful and happy. So that is, I think, what we need to do collectively. We need to free ourselves from this despair around the situation of climate change. Because with despair, we fall prey to fear, anger, hatred, and we start to think and act in a way that causes more damage. So we need to find creative ways to transform that despair into joy and happiness in the present moment. And we will just naturally stop doing the kind of things that cause this suffering, that cause climate change to come about. It takes some deep looking, a collective deep looking, to bring about that kind of transformation. And we are doing it, and many of us are doing it. And you can see in someone who is really helping the situation, this happiness and freedom, you see less despair. We can not last very long operating based on despair. Eventually we burn out. We cannot handle our emotions anymore. So I think this is not a sustainable solution because what we need are sustainable ways of taking care of the planet. Not just outside in terms of how we generate energy, in terms of how we work, in terms of how we move about on the planet. We need sustainable ways of taking care of our mind, taking care of our joy and happiness, because this is something that will take many generations to change. This is something that will take many generations to heal and transform.
Sustainable minds.
Yes, sustainable humanity.
Thai says that we really have to wake up collectively for a future to be possible.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, a future is only possible a future that we can live in freely and happily when we learn to understand what is happening right here and right now. That's the deep insight I had. For a future to be possible, we need to take care of the present moment. for it to be the kind of future that we can give as a legacy with joy and freedom to our descendants and their descendants. We need to learn how to take care of this moment right now. So we need to learn to stop running. Yeah.
Thank you for waking up together this morning for this present moment, with sometimes with cars rushing by on the background, fed by fossil fuels.
Yeah.
That's also the present moment, and
Yeah.
that's what we accept.
Yeah, that's right.
And now we will fuel ourselves with a beautiful breakfast.
Yeah.
But we will not run.
Yeah. Thank you, Wouter.
Thank you, brother.